if you're an innovative company, it is very straightforward. You should feel absolutely empowered on going to research tools that you can use in real time. And I think that's the right thing to say. Is like, again, if you're the type of person or company that wants to try to innovate and adapt, you should definitely go out and try to find tools to use with some of your people and capture the interactions, and have some of your tech people turn that into like real-time things that happen for that sales rep, and then iterate from there.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to talk about sales. Specifically, we're going to talk about improving sales performance with AI. If you have thought about the impact that AI is having on businesses like I have, then you're probably curious about what are the changes going to happen as we scale AI into our sales teams. So specifically, that's our focus today. We have with us the co-founder and CEO of Pattr.io, Mike Latch. We also have an investor and advisor, Gregg Murphy, with us. We talk about AI in the sales process. We look at really some interesting things about how it's supporting the middle tier. So if you think about, there's rock stars at that top tier, you have the low performers. 75% of your sales team probably fits into the middle tier. How do you get them to perform closer to the rock star level? Well, all that's unpacked in today's episode. So hopefully you find it as interesting as I do. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm an executive coach. We do leadership development where we help managers become leaders. We also do cultural transformations. The way we do that is because leadership really is everything. It drives the culture. It drives performance. It drives whether people stay or leave within a company, how they perform, how they feel about the work that they do. All of that depends on the leadership that you bring to it. So we actually come in to help companies understand how to take their leadership to make it a competitive advantage, move to that next level. So if that's curious to you, make sure you reach out to us. I'd love to help you. When you think about the business that you're in, you probably would love to hear from other CEOs or executives of fast growth companies. Well, we've got a special experience that we do for people that have been on the show before. And if you're listening to this, I want to invite you to that. I want you to be sort of a fly on the wall. You can participate, but you don't have to. You can just listen to these other CEOs and these executives that are growing their businesses fast. Every month, the topic changes. In August, in the next virtual conversation, we're going to be talking about how to grow your business. And so if you're curious about what that is, all you have to do is go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. If the title of that resonates with you, then you can sign up. If it doesn't, you can sign up anyway. You'll get a good, incredible world-class even summary of that experience, but also it lets you know if you want to come to the next one and participate and actually ask questions live in person with people. It is through Zoom, so you don't have to travel for this. But if you're curious about that, go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. Now, here's the interview with Mike and Gregg. Hello, Gregg and Mike.
Hello, Gene.
You guys doing well today?
Doing great.
Yes, sir. Amazing.
Well, we're going to have an incredible conversation about sales, and specifically some of the changes that are happening through the AI and the usage of that in the sales process. Your company is Pattr.io. Tell us a little bit about the company first.
Yeah, sure. So Pattr is a tech company that is creating an industry agnostic strategic sales platform, so that it can be rapidly configured for larger clients, for them to have like a very performant, bespoke, comprehensive solution that their salespeople use when they're selling with customers. That is designed to really help middle performer reps perform much more closely to the top reps.
Love that. Gregg, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, we create sales practices that maximize sales performance in a boom or bust market. So it's consistent all the way through. It's like you need more rigor in a bust market, and you want to make sure people are doing and running the plays or the practices that the leadership of the company set forth. And so we found that one of the biggest black holes in B2C business is what happens at the kitchen table, or B2C, what happens in the boardroom. We don't know. And so with Pattern AI, we've created some tools to really help put your top performer right next to that middle performer rep every time, getting good information and helping them succeed.
Well, I'm looking forward to diving in, but I know also, I guess, not just me curious about this, but Mike, tell us a little bit about your background that would give us an idea of why you're bringing this technology to market.
Yeah, sure. I have a very technical background, atypical for a salesperson. I actually started as a physicist for a defense contractor. Long story short, fast forward quite a few years, I got introduced to the owners of a residential solar company in Hawaii where I'd gone to grad school, or part of grad school, and I decided to take a commission-only sales job there. The owners were like, we don't need anybody like you, but you could be a sales rep. And sales is like a bad word in my family. And I'm like, what about me is bad that you thought I would be good at sales? You know, like that was like, but anyway, I like doing new things, and I took it, and Greg was the sales manager, and he was like, hey, Mike, you know, you're a clever guy. Don't talk about, you know, for 20 minutes how a solar panel works. I have a very good process that explains, you know, everything customer needs to know so that they can make a decision in their own best interest. And I'm pretty coachable. So I followed that process, and he turned me into like an absolute selling machine. Like I could care less whether somebody bought or sold, but I was going to do a very good job on the presentation. And the owners were like, how did you get so good so fast? And I said, well, I just did exactly what Greg told me to do. But it turns out it was a little bit more complicated than that. And in that I could do a lot of redesigning from scratch on the fly when I would encounter like hard objections or major changes when I was in somebody's like living room, and walk people through what I was doing. And so a few months later, I was building software for that same company to help other reps give the same kind of experiences I could. Because a bunch of stuff that I was doing, you know, software should have been doing. So then a few years later, I started my own software company, building solutions like that for companies. One of them bought me, or bought my company. And then I was there to either help them go public or do another big deal. They hired me and my team originally back in 2017. And we grew that company from 60 million in revenue to over a $1 billion run rate over those 4 or 5 years. And it would have been impossible without the tech that we built. And so we've told a lot of people about like the tech and processes and stuff like that. And then we decided to like write a book, and then eventually, you know, started a company to create the tech so that other companies don't have to build stuff from scratch like we always had to do.
Anything you want to add to that, Greg, from your experience?
Having Mike join the team was one of those things that I think at that time we had a team of like 60 sales reps, and we were you know, just running really well. One of the top performers actually in the nation on the little island of Oahu. And so when Mike came in, he doesn't have that personality of a typical sales rep, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in kind of a fun way. But what he did is he was coachable at a level I had hardly ever experienced. Took somebody who literally where sales was a bad name. It's like part of the funny thing about our book we're doing is called Sales Sucks, right? So that's been Mike's like, sales sucks, it's horrible, you know? And so what we did is we created a process to train people how to sell with aloha, and how to treat people with respect, where the customer can have autonomy and help make decisions along the way. And Mike just came in and did just a bang up job at it. And again, he went and started his business, and I went off and did some other things. And right when that this company called Sunpro was just taking off, Mike said, "Hey man, we need to create some sales processes, and we want to scale the team." So when I joined the team, Mike had already been there for a few years. And we took, I think I had from 300 sales reps to about 1,000, and that $1 billion run rate in literally a couple years. Once we had processes, and then utilizing the software that Mike created, just enabled us to focus on that mid performer group and just take off and just crush it. It was a fun time.
You guys have brought up the mid performer a few times here, so I want to really zero in on what are some of the challenges that organizations have with those middle performer sales reps?
It's so typically, if I look at an org, your top performers are maybe like 5% of the sales team. It could be 5-10%. It's not usually that big, but they just crush it, right? They walk with confidence and swagger. They understand the business. There's a way that they come across to a customer that they're just incredible. And then you have the low performers. Let's say they're about 20% of the team. And then you have about the 75% is your mid performers. What the biggest challenge that most companies focus on is they bring their top performers into the sales meeting, go, be like that, look at her, she's amazing, she's and all the mid performers, low performers go, oh my gosh, I can never be like that, they're amazing. And then also they'll create policies, and all the managers are creating practices and policies trying to make the low performers better. So they're spending all their time on the uncoachable, untrainable low performers. And what we're saying is like, they've got to move those folks along. Spend your time on that mid performer tier. That's like the middle class of a tax bracket, right? It's your largest opportunity to crush it. So if they could generate just one more sale a month out of that middle class, when it's your largest, you're just gonna crush it.
Now, they were just talking about someone being uncoachable. Now, how do you know if someone's uncoachable? One of the big red flags is they will have that fixed mindset. So a growth mindset is one where they think that they can continuously learn and adapt, and there's more to learn. Fixed mindset means they're stuck. But here's the problem. Nobody labels themselves as a fixed mindset. But if you're coaching someone and they've got a better way always, if you're coaching someone and they're not open to new approaches, if they're not open to new perspectives and new ways of thinking and doing, then you probably have someone that's uncoachable. And you have to make the decision of, is that the person right for this role and for your team? Only you can make that decision. But uncoachable people don't have a place in my company, just to let you know. Back to Gregg and Mike. Love that. I've seen the same thing in our work too, right? Working with different clients and different sales managers and sales performers. You don't have to worry about the high performers, but they do get a good bit of attention because it's fun to hang out with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're in the President's Club, and
yeah,
they get to get away with murder sometimes because they're,
and you spend so much time on the low performers when you should be assessing them quickly to get them out to make room for the right people, which I know is hard. But I wanted to go into the AI side of what you're doing, because I think it's really fascinating that AI, if in my opinion, if companies aren't looking at AI and using AI on a daily basis and seeing how it can improve just the way they do business. You don't have to be an AI company and create an AI technology, but even in sales, like the simplest thing is write it yourself, that email first, that cold email, and then have an AI engine rewrite it for you. I'm finding 99% of the time it comes out better.
yeah.
Are you guys seeing similar?
There's a ton of examples like that where, you're just constantly surprised. I think, in general, if you're a leader or business owner, and if you're reticent to leverage AI, it probably behooves you to somehow think of it as if you've been using rocks to hammer in nails and somebody just presented to you a hammer, right? Like, you can continue to use rocks, but you're gonna, if you can figure out how to use the hammer, you're just gonna get, more, if your objective is to hit, 100 nails in 8 hours, and all of a sudden you can get 50 nails, I'm just making up numbers, but it's a new tool and you just need to start using them, and figuring out how to use them, and then you'll be all right. I think that's roughly the right way to look at it.
So let's fast forward to right now, because I think that you guys have coming out with something a little bit on the cutting edge of AI as it applies to sales. So how would you frame in the program that you guys have created, and what problems does it solve for clients?
So, well, one, we're not I mean, Gregg and I we're both team-oriented humans, and we love talking to people about their problems and helping if we know information that's helpful to them. But we are not consultants. We do have a tech company with a product, and that product is helpful for some strategic sales teams, and probably a way to understand that is by elaborating a little bit more on what Gregg talked about earlier and helping the middle performers. So if you think about what, fundamentally, let's break down top performers into two types. There's top performers that behave well in an unpredictable fashion, and there's top performers like I was that perform well by executing to the standards better than everybody else. And so if you take those top performers that are executing the standards, what has to happen? One, there has to be very good standards. Here's all the sales training. Here's all the scripts to say. Here's the way to handle all these objections. Here's all our product materials, all that kind of good stuff. And then now, what's the difference between a middle performer and that gold standard top performer? It's just a series of things that they don't do as well, right? You name it. Hey, what is the script for bringing up your referral program at your business? Hey, what is the script for your price is too high? What's, like those are just a series of defined portions of a 30 to 1 hour interaction between a rep and the purchaser, right? So if you break those things down, you'll see that a middle performer just doesn't do as good of a job as often as a top performer. And once you understand that, now you can break down all those things. You say, okay, how can tech help? So pick the interaction, pick the one that you think will most contribute to an improvement to your business, and then say, okay, how can tech get a middle performer that only does this script so well, so often, do it like the top performer? They do it like on point 90% of the time. And so from there, then it starts to be very straightforward how to like leverage tech, both like AI tools around like, hey, what's really happening there is they're not saying what I think they're supposed to say. Okay, how can we get them saying what we want them to say? Okay, well, let's use an AI tool that captures the interaction and sends a report to the manager on like, hey, the reps that all got trained, these 3 are doing the script right, these 20 of them are not. So give them some feedback right away to get them doing it. So like, anyway, that hopefully that's like a very concrete, specific example.
I want to get specific with that. Capture the interaction. These are your recording calls. If you're sitting down at the kitchen table selling home services, it's you and the couple. Hopefully it's not just the wife or the man. It's
Yes.
both buying
Yeah, right.
parties.
You don't want a single-legged.
But
right.
How are you capturing that? And then is it AI running always in the background?
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. So we have an app that runs while you're there. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we capture this interaction for your benefit. Like you don't have to worry about any like, you don't have to worry about me saying one thing and saying something else, back at the business or something like that. And there's lots of scripts and ways to like tell consumers the benefits. And generally when you do, there's a lot of proven willingness of consumers to have that stuff run. And at first it sounds crazy, right? Before you've been exposed to it. And then you're like, well, how many people have Alexa, right? Or something Google in their home? Or a long time ago when you'd call a call center, it didn't say, hey, by the way, we record this for quality assurance and training purposes. At some point, call centers did start saying that. And now every single person is like conditioned to accept that as a part of the interaction you have. So we're not that far along with interpersonal sales interactions, but we are part of the way along. And eventually, it'll be my AI is listening to the plumber come and the plumber's AI is also running and, all that kind of stuff.
When you listen to this, is it giving you real-time feedback? Is it in the call or is it after the fact of your adherence to the script or to the process at which is laid out is ideal?
So it's all provided after the fact so far, but if you're an innovative company, it is very straightforward. You should feel absolutely empowered on going to research tools that you can use in real time. And I think that's the right thing to say is like, again, if you're the type of person or company that wants to try to innovate and adapt, you should definitely go out and try to find tools to use with some of your people and capture the interactions and have some of your tech people turn that into like real-time things that happen for that sales rep and then iterate from there.
It's like the tech is a tool and it really comes down to the people. And so we see it as if I can give our managers the information that's necessary to help their sales reps be better at what their craft is. That's really the main goal. They're going to make more money. They're going to be happier. The customer is going to be much higher satisfaction because the sales rep is within compliance and they're making sure that they're delivering what they say they should do. The customer satisfaction rates go through the roof. And so it's really the outcome of what we're seeing it do is a huge blessing. And it's like, imagine, if you've got your mid-performer reps, literally be able to generate 1 or 2 more sales a month than what they were able to do. You're changing people's lives for the better, their own financial lives, and it's a great thing. And then also it helps to weed out those other folks that most managers are spending time coaching people that are not trainable. They're
Right.
not taking your advice and running the play. Well, you're going to know immediately now, are they running the play?
Yeah.
You don't have to wait 3 months while you're wasting all this money. And so what we say is like, you want to make sure you hire and fire at optimal speeds. And this will allow you to do that. Because if they're not taking your advice and how to run the play well, man, there's somebody else there that wants that position that will absolutely do it. So you got to move those folks along quickly, have those tough conversations.
Yes.
Now, we've been talking about AI and people growing. I do believe that AI is going to change a lot of things. It's changing right now. If you want to summarize something, you can do it in a flash. If you want to have a transcription of an audio or a video file, you can do it in a flash, and it can be pretty damn good. And you can have the summaries of those things pretty good. But where are we going to be in the future? Well, a few years from now, we'll probably be able to identify some blind spots that people have. We'll be able to identify some of the challenges, or maybe even give them ideas about what's next. But I also know that nothing will take the place of real leadership inside of companies. AI will complement and support, but it won't take the place of. That's my opinion. Hopefully you agree with me, but if you don't, that's fine too. But that's my perspective of how AI is going to help us grow. Is the people that are able to leverage it and are open-minded enough and coachable will learn to use these tools and adapt their work and streamline their work as they need to. Back to Gregg and Mike.
You're right, Gene.
Yeah, absolutely. A nod to our book that's out, buy it where you buy books, about how to have tough conversations. My mind is just racing because I would love to spend a lot more time with you guys, but we're going to run out of time here. So I'm going to have a couple of key questions as we finish up. I know one of the key things to get better at anything is to watch the game film. And maybe not everyone understands that. Maybe all those sports people do, but you watch what just happened, or how the game how you actually performed, and you're looking for patterns. You're looking at things that you could do better and learn from. Maybe you're even looking at the things you did well and going, all right, I got that. And you got confidence in that. And so what I'm hearing is your system does this at scale. Like the manager does not have to listen to 40 calls a day that goes through, because that's impossible, but they're getting a report back based on, all the people out in the field. And they're saying these are the 3 areas at which Jeff or Sam or Cindy could grow at, all because AI is doing the hard work for them. Is that right?
Yes, it is straightforward to implement such a system now for us, like a strategic sales team. Like
And
you
are
don't
you
even
guys-
you don't even need a fancy company like us that does a whole bunch of other software for your configuration and designing products, stuff like that. There's a ton of tools out there that a company could gather and use to run the play that you just talked about.
I love where you guys are going with this. And I know it's only going to get better from here, because as you learn things, you're going to address the market with that. You've looked at, I'm going to say thousands. It could be more than thousands. I don't know where your numbers are. What are the patterns of things it's finding and catching that you feel like that's the reason why this whole new AI enablement for sales works?
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I'll speak to it from a scripting concept, and a lot of folks, when they think of scripts, they don't like that word. But you think about a movie, you think about the first Top Gun. Everybody could tell you the plot, what happened, and what that was like. But what made that movie? But ask them to rattle off the dates of the Civil War, and they would struggle with that. And it's because, but those actors were following a script. But they were able to take in that scripting at such a high level that it was their life, and everybody's able to go on that journey with them. AI and good coaching will get the sales team to that level. the challenges right now is they go off the edges, and once they start to go off the edge and then they're asked a question they don't know the answer to, they'll start to make stuff and ad lib, and that's where danger happens, right? Eject. And so that's where we're excited to be able to see people. You're going to know if they're staying to the script, and hey, let's go practice this some more and help them understand the why we say what we need to say so that they can come across like a great actor, and that customer leaves that interaction going, wow, I feel heard, understood, and respected.
Fantastic. Any last parting words here, Mike?
On that last topic?
Yeah.
So one of the things that Gregg is particularly good at is coming up with great, succinct, consumer-friendly explanations. And that is incredibly useful as you string them together to help somebody decide to make a purchase for a complicated product where they'll either be happy that they bought it, or they decide not to buy it and be happy they didn't buy it because they know it's not a good fit for them. And that process it's very hard to find like senior leaders. Like Gregg is led over like 1,100 people at a time between managers and reps. It's pretty hard to find senior leaders that are good at that and successful at leading and inspiration, stuff like that. With part of the reason that like AI in our realm is getting so popular is because you can take a crummily written idea, you're thinking about like, okay, these are all the things I want somebody to say in a sales interaction, and these are all the objections they have. And you can write that, you can use an AI tool, and you can turn it into something that's like that's pretty high quality, right?
Yeah.
That's like grammatically correct and like doesn't cause somebody to like ask more questions, like prompt, hey, and make it so the customer doesn't want to ask me a bunch of other questions. Like I did a great job explaining it, and it'll rework it. Whereas like you used to have somebody like Gregg, so you can take that and that becomes like the training materials that you're trying to get all your sales reps to be literally saying, right? And the reason why we're fans of scripts is, again, like the human brain is meant to receive information in a story and retain it. So if you can chain that information together in a series of like, hey, here's a problem and here's a natural solution. Here's a problem, here's a natural solution. All of a sudden, the listener is retaining a lot more information, and then they're a lot more likely to make a good decision. And general purpose AI tools can considerably help with that, so that there's just, anyway, so I'm probably talking a lot, but hopefully that makes it a little bit more actionable for people.
Well, Mike, Gregg, thanks for being here to talk about Sales Platter and what you guys are doing with the sales enablement for using AI.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Gene.
Great to be here, Gene. Thank you.
Okay, incredible conversation around sales enablement and improving sales performance with AI. Hopefully you got a lot out of this and maybe learn some new things about where things are going. Again, you can look at some of the solutions that platter.io has. If you're a smaller company and you just want to look at how sales is enablement, there's lots of choices out there. I don't have a list of tools for you, but if you want to reach out to me, gene@genehammett.com, I'm happy to share with you some of the tools that our teams have discovered for our own company and for our clients as well. And if you're curious about that, just reach out to me. Happy to help you. If you are continuing to grow your company and you know that you can perform at a higher level, whether it be your own leadership or you can develop the managers around you, then I'd love to talk to you about that as well. Just send me an email, gene@genehammett.com. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.